Continuing with linear equations, we're going to be working on the questions on page 39 and 40. So let's do a couple of the actual questions. So I'm going to do number 322. So 322 was 5x over 2 minus 2x over 3 is equal to 4. Okay, so continuing like we did with the other ones, we don't want to have any fractions, so I need to get rid of that 2 and 3. So I'm going to do the same thing I did with the previous questions when it was over the equal sign, like combining them, getting a common denominator so I can add and subtract them, and then I'll look at moving that to the other side. So the first thing I'll do is multiply that 5x by 3. Then I have to multiply the 2x by 2, giving me a common denominator on the bottom of 2 times 3. And all of that will be equal to 4. So multiplying in, we get 15x minus 4x divided by 6 is equal to 4. So now, to get rid of that 6 on the bottom, I bring it up and multiply it on the other side. So 15x minus 4x is 11x equals 24. And then I divide both sides by 11. So x is equal to 24 over 11. And I will leave it as an improper fraction, so I don't have to round my answer. Let's do another one like that. I'm going to do number 324. So 2 bracket x minus 1 all divided by 3 minus bracket x plus 5 is equal to 7. So this time, that second thing, the x plus 5, doesn't have any denominator. It's not a fraction. But to combine those first two things on the left-hand side, I will multiply it by 3 to get it over 3. So multiplying that 2 into the x minus 1, I get 2x minus 2 minus, and then it'll be 3 times the x plus 5 will equal 7, and all of that will be divided by 3. So I did that similar to the one on so I did that similar to 322, except for there was only one that had a denominator. Alright, so now I multiply on the top end, so I've got 2x minus 2 minus 3x minus 15, and I'm going to get rid of that divide by 3, bring it to the other side, so 7 times 3 is 21. Collect the like terms here, so 2x minus 3x is negative x, and negative 2 minus 15 is negative 17 is equal to 21. I'm going to add 17, so negative x is equal to 38. But I don't want negative x, I want positive x, so if I multiply both by negative 1, x would equal negative 38. And that would be my final answer. Now I'd like to go over the merit excellence questions on page 40, and I strongly advise you to try these first before you watch me doing it. So you try it and then see how you go, and watch this and see if you get the same answer. So 332. Asks us to, it says, the width of a commercial rectangular garden is 12 meters less than its length. If x represents the length of the rectangular garden, label all the sides of the diagram before. So they've given us a rectangle, something like this, and they've asked us to label all the sides. So if the length is x, and that's the longer side, then that means x would go on the top and the bottom, and the width is 12 less than that, so that gives me x minus 12 and x minus 12 on the two other sides. So that's part A. B. Label again all the sides of the diagram below for garden 2, which is 30 meters longer in both length and width than Garden 1 in Part A. So once again, they've given us a rectangle to work with. And this time they said it's 30 meters longer in both length and width. That means the length is 30 meters longer and the width is 30 meters longer. If the length is 30 meters longer, that just must be x plus 30. And if the width is 30 meters longer, notice in the first one I had x minus 12, so I'm going to add 30 to 12, giving me x plus 18. Making the other width x plus 18 as well. So, part C. This Garden 2 is double the original perimeter of Garden 1. Rewrite the equation below in terms of x, the length of the longer side of Garden 1. And they tell us that 2 times perimeter of the first garden is equal to perimeter of the second garden. So recall that perimeter is the length around the outside. So if we go 2 times the perimeter of the first one, and the perimeter of the first one would be 2 times x, because we have two lengths, plus 2 times our width of x minus 12, that is equal to the perimeter of the second garden. So that would be 2 times the length, x plus 30, plus 2 times its width, because there's two of them, x plus 18. Alright, so simplifying this down, we get 2 bracket 2x plus 2x minus 24 is equal to 2x plus 60 plus 2x plus 36. So now I will multiply the 2 into the bracket on the left-hand side. So we get, well, 2x plus 2x is 4x times the 2 gives me 8x minus 48, because 2 times 24 is 48, equals 2x plus 2x is 4x plus 96. Now we want to collect x to one side, and we'll collect it on the left-hand side. So if I minus 4x from both sides, I get 4x. And I'm going to get rid of that minus 48, so I'm going to plus 48. And 96 plus 48 is 144. Divide both sides by 4, giving me 36. And I've actually went ahead and started doing part D, which said, part C just said to actually write the equation, part D wanted us to solve it. So this is part C and D. And if the length is 36, they asked us to find the length and width. And remember that the original width is 12 less than that. So our length is 36 meters, and the width is 12 less than that, so it must be 24 meters. Now let's look at the next question, which is number 333. A group of New Zealand politicians met to consider moving to the capital of Auckland. It is known that 19 out of 24 North Island politicians at the meeting supported moving the capital to Auckland, but only one of the unknown number X of politicians from the South Island support the motion. From the press release, it is known that the level of support from the combined group dropped by 50% when just the South Island politicians were surveyed. So part A says, explain why the proportion of support at the combined meeting is 20 over 24 plus x. So they're saying that it's 20 over 24 plus x. So the original one was 19 out of 24. And then they told us that only one from the South Island, but we don't know how many, must be the new one. So 19 plus one more to support it would give me the 20, and 24 plus out of however many. So there's 24 from the North Island plus however from the South Island. So note, this is the north, and this is the north. So if I add on how many want it for the south plus how many are voting from the south, that gives me the combined equation of 20 over 24 plus x. B says, give an expression for the proportion of South Island politicians who supported moving to the capital. So, really straightforward. Only one supported it out of however many on the South Island, which is x. Part C. For Part C, it says, the difference in these proportions is 50%, or 1/2. Write an equation in x and solve this equation. So they mean in terms of x. So difference means subtraction. So if I take the proportion for all of them, so that was what they gave us in Part A, 20 over 24 plus x, and I take away the proportion of just the South Island, which was our answer for Part B, 1 over x, that is equal to 1/2. Now they'd like us to solve this question. So I need to get a common denominator on the left-hand side. So multiply the x up gives me 20x minus multiplying the other denominator up, so it's 1 times 24 plus x all over 24 plus x times x is equal to 1/2. I'm now going to cross multiply and simplify the top of the left-hand side a little bit. So 20x minus an x, if I multiply that negative in, gives me 19x minus 24 is equal to, now 24 plus x times x would be 24x plus x squared, and that would be divided by 2. But I can get rid of that divide by 2 by multiplying by 2, so that gives me 38x minus 48 is equal to 24x plus x squared. I'm now going to collect everything to one side, which will be a quadratic, and then solve it. So I'm going to collect it to the right-hand side, so I get x squared. 24 minus 38 is negative 14x, and then negative 48 to the other side will become plus 48. So I'm looking for two numbers that will add to negative 14, and the same two will multiply to 48, and that would be negative 6 and negative 8. And then I look at what could I put in there to get 0 in either of them. So either it is equal to 6 or it's equal to 8. I could have also put those values in on my calculator to solve the quadratic. So I could have put in a 1, a negative 14, and a 48, and it would have told me that the solutions were 6 and 8. Part D asks, explain why you cannot conclude exactly how many politicians from the South Island attended this meeting. Justify your answer. Well, let's try both of them into it. The first one, if we sub into it, we had 20 over 24 plus x, and let's try 6. So 24 plus 6 minus 1 over x. So let's see what we get there. We get 20 minus, and if I got a common denominator, 24 plus 6 is 30. To get 6 up to 30, I would times it by 5. So minus 5 over 30 would give me 15 over 30, which is 1/2. But also, if we did it with the other one, 20 over 24 plus 8 minus 1 over 8 is equal to 20 minus, now 24 plus 8 is 32, and 4 times 8 is 32, so I would have to multiply by 4 to get a common denominator of 32, which is 16 over 32, which is also 1/2. So both are possible. possible solutions that work for that condition.